It's Wake Up in the Den. Alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro, I'm Kule Agbayani. Happy Aloha Monday and welcome to the show, the first of many weekday 2-hour shows. Apologies for the slight delay in time. We wanted to keep you guys waiting just a little bit because, we got our cameras situated because we are streaming live on YouTube as we speak right now. So thank you for bearing with us. I know you couldn't wait that extra minute that we had to add there before the show, but we are live on YouTube and we are live obviously on the radio and hawaiisportsradio.com. So we are so excited today, again, first day that we will now go 2 hours, 8 to 10, Monday through Friday, right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, because football season and the rest of the sports season is just underway. So we are going to have to talk about a lot of stuff that we can cram into. You guys already know we used to joke that we would run out of time. It's just the 1 hour show. And now we get even more time. And for the most part, you will have the three of us for at least a portion, if not all of the show, like you will have today, myself, Paul, and Michael, because I know Michael will be out and about covering high school sports, especially. And we will get to some of what he saw over the weekend and last week at some of the high school football scrimmages that were taking place. Reminder that we have our first high school football broadcast this Friday. We're going to go out to Waialua and bring you Pac-5 versus Waialua for preseason action. It's going to be a good time. Coming up on the show, we will get into a lot of Olympics discussion, also talk some University of Hawaii football because Paul had a chance to go out there on Saturday to see the simulated scrimmage that the UH had over the weekend at Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex. So high school football, UH football, and just get into a bunch of stuff. But first, I want to officially welcome Paul back home. What's up, Paul? Wave to everybody. Woo!
Oh,
good to have
guys.
you back. Paul has been away, as you guys know, getting married and on his honeymoon in Alaska. So what's up, man? Good to have you back.
It's good to be back. It was nice to go. I saw some really awesome stuff. We'll get into all of that, I'm sure. But by the end of it, both Morgan and I were ready to get back to work. So for the final few days, we were itching, kind of getting ready, and we've joked a little bit, as obviously I put out a small article you guys can find on our website, hawaiisportsradio.com, about the latest in Hawaii men's basketball recruiting. Alongside that, we also have something up there about the Hawaii flag football for the young ladies here in the islands. So plenty going on there. So I was happy to kind of get an introduction back a little bit before I got back to the studio. But as you guys know, I can talk for days, and now I have a microphone to do it again and 2 full hours to chat with the beautiful people, and I really just couldn't be more excited to be back.
Well, that's why, like I said, we usually have the, usually the segment one, we start off with a certain type of football or something topic, especially now, some type of sports. But I actually wanted to reverse. Usually we use the end of the hour to catch up on things, but because we haven't seen you in so long, Paul, you got to fill in all the beautiful people of how your wedding went. I wish we could share the video that Paul, or the videos that Paul sent with us at his, what you call reception, his dancing
with his
videos.
shirt off?
Yeah.
But a tie on?
It was pretty awesome, you guys. But yes, tell us a little bit about, I'm sure everyone misses hearing you and everything. So go ahead. We're giving you the stage right now, Paul. I know that pains you for that, but
brutal.
Yeah, no, tell us how I specifically, like when we saw each other this morning, one, I had to get everything situated.
Yes.
But two, I did not want to ask you about anything because I wanted it to be kind of like real reaction to things that happened while on your trip. So yeah, go ahead and share with us a little bit about your wedding and then also how Alaska was. I've never been, so how was that?
Gladly, I will share everything I can. I was glad that we did that as well. Sometimes we do the show before the show, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh gosh, it feels like it's deja vu.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome. Really, really lucky. Back in New York right now in summertime, it is very humid, so we were really worried whether it be rain or, an exceptionally hot day with terrible humidity. We were scared that it was going to be our wedding day because the days leading up to it, everybody had told us the week before we got in, extremely hot, so humid, and the temperature finally broke. And then we got the most perfect day. Could not have asked for a better day when it came to the sunshine, couple of clouds in the sky so we could get a little bit of break, a little bit of shade here and there. But for the most part, a beautiful day. We got married at Robert H. Treman Park in New York State. A beautiful venue, the Northern Shelter, that it came with a lot of stuff. It was very affordable for us. And everybody who we chatted with really enjoyed the venue, thought it gave off church-ish vibes during the ceremony, but very easily was flipped over for our reception. And as you guys said, certainly was a fun reception. Shout out to my dad, first off, for catering our wedding. He's been catering weddings for close to a decade now as like a part-time gig. If you see him, you know he knows his food. If you know, you know. And from there, shout out to our DJ Curtis, who was awesome the entire time. I could not have asked for someone who was more communicative throughout the process without getting in the way, because obviously for anyone who has had a wedding day, it is really crazy from start to finish. And that's the funny story that I do want to share. So if you guys have been listening since the start of this show, Michael and Ku referenced a video of me perhaps with my shirt off, and I had still the tie around my neck, but outside of that, it's a hot day, guys. The best part about that video is that completely sober, had not had a single beverage.
I was going to ask, like, how many glasses of wine did it take
Not
for
a
that to
single
happen
drop.
for you? I love it. Actually, that makes you fit right into here. We got to get Michael to get on board with the crazy train, but glad to see that from you.
there.
Everyone knows I'm like, I'll dance wherever and whenever. But maybe I remember when we posted on Instagram when we were doing an HPU baseball broadcast, and I was like, woo! And then Brian Bautista was like, what's up with Michael? He's not really dancing. I was like, he's not used to us yet, but it's only a matter of time.
I'm not a dancer. I'm more of a singer. So,
Ooh, interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
then.
We should have had
She shouldn't have
karaoke.
said that, because now it'll be like, sing, 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 sing.
It's good to know.
that's fine. No, I'll do it.
It's going to go back in the mental Rolodex. We'll put that, have a team karaoke night or something like that after the seasons start to slow down again. Obviously, the time for fun has kind of ended for us.
No, we're having fun right now.
You know what?
Exactly.
That's a good call.
And like I said, like every time, and it won't really be with the music that we have for the YouTube shows, but when we have other music, so I tend to, when we come back from the breaks, you can hear my background vocals going on. And as I like to joke, but it's 100% factual, that you have a Filipino and a microphone in front of my face and some music, the singing
is
just is
coming out.
going to come. And I apologize that, and I hope we don't lose any listeners when I do that.
No,
But
we're gonna
it's
gain
just-
listeners,
yeah.
Koo. We're gonna gain them.
Jasmine Trias ain't got nothing on this Filipino.
Yeah,
Just
Koo, you're gonna
kidding.
be a singer and a ring girl.
Oh, shoot. There we go again.
Oh God! Yeah.
Happy Monday, people. All right. A couple more minutes before we do have to hit our break, though, Paul, I want to ask you about how Alaska was. I mean, like, I've never been, but it looks beautiful and cold.
It is awesome. Could not have asked for something that fit better for what we wanted. A lot of people asked us what we were going to do for the honeymoon, because obviously we live in Hawaii now. A lot of people go to, Hawaii, go to a tropical location. We were kind of like, that's not really what we want to do. Neither of us had been to Alaska. My parents, when I was really young, probably around 5-6 years old, went on a cruise to Alaska with a few of our family friends, but left us behind. And there's this picture in my dining room that I have always looked at. And I'm like, that would be so fun. That'd be so fun. So I talked to Morgan about it, and she had suggested a cruise up to Alaska because she has never been on a cruise. I convinced her on that. We went up, we hit, 7-day cruise, wonderful. Hit Juneau, the capital of Alaska. That was nice. It was a cold-ish, rainy day. Bought a brand new rain jacket, winter jacket, whatever. It is incredible. I almost wore it here this morning to the den, which is very funny. It will be my replacement rain jacket because it is so good. That was a nice place. Got a chance to get Morgan a new necklace. Bought her a tanzanite necklace that is beautiful. And everywhere up there. Part of being in each of the ports, we got to go in and not a scavenger hunt, but there are a bunch of like little deals, little free charms or pendants or collectible coins. I'll have to bring them in one of these days. I'll show you guys. And we got to grab those, and that was at each of the stops. Then next day we ended up going to Skagway. That's where we had our excursion booked. 6-hour excursion, 3 different things. First thing we get to do, we get to learn about the Iditarod race, the sled dog race across Alaska there, and we got to actually socialize some sled puppies, 4 weeks old. I will share those pictures with you during the break. They were very, very cute. So we got to socialize them, got to see how that works, learn the history of it. That was cool because that's a big sport up there. So as a sports guy, it was kind of like a whole new frontier, which is funny. Obviously, Alaska, the last frontier. I didn't even mean to do that, I promise.
Just all coming back to you.
It really. Then we go into some gold panning, which was extremely fun. I have a few little pieces of gold that we got to bring back. It was like $36 worth. It was funny. And then the last part was a 3-hour train ride of the White Pass Trail, where we get to go up the mountains in through Canada, a portion of Canada, up to Yukon, and got to see the whole trail and learn about the Alaskan gold rush. And shout out to Klondike Mike, our
that's a better name than you, Michael.
It's pretty
Klondike
good.
Mike.
Klondike Mike. Shout out to Klondike Mike, who was our tour guide and led the whole way, did not break character until the end when he was like, all right, now if you guys would like to ask some questions about my background, I'd love to tell you. Actually found out he has a radio background from Florida. So it was very fun, an enjoyable time there. Some more beautiful pictures. Once again, I will share those with all the beautiful people. And then finally, we close up in Ketchikan, a former red light district, which was very interesting. Got to learn about the history of that, the fishing side of towns, a lot of totem poles and the different types of totems that they used to make. They have shame totems for, if you did something to disgrace your family, did something shameful or whatever.
Shame.
They
That's
would
like
make
the
a
chant
full,
that we
exactly.
need to get that for a basketball game. So I'm trying to start this chant when the referee makes a
Shame.
bad call. And so they do it at the Las Vegas Golden Knights when someone goes into the penalty box and like the entire arena goes, shame. So I'm trying to get people and fans at basketball games here to do that for if there's like a bad call on us and the other team gets to go through the free throw line and then you go, shame. Sorry, I
We'll
digress.
start it. We will start it up. Either way, yeah, we got to learn about shame totem poles along with all the other ones. It's very cool. It kind of, in a way, it's like the anti-Hawaii. Like, it's, I don't know. You add in the culture, which is one of my favorite parts of Hawaii.
But they have natives there.
So what I'm saying is,
I was like, how is it anti?
so it's anti-Hawaii in terms of like, yeah, you get the complete opposite in terms of the weather and whatnot.
Weather, obviously.
And then you go through and it's so interesting because from there it is completely like Hawaii, where you have so much culture that is ingrained still into modern society, into the modern iterations of populations. And I don't know, it was a really cool learning experience from start to finish. Plus, the cruise ship's always fun. You got to go to the casino, big blackjack guy.
All-inclusive type of stuff, too.
I got to take advantage of the drink package. Had to make sure that I made my money back on that. That's where I drank my wine that I didn't get to drink on wedding day. Just overall, a really nice trip. By day 6 of the cruise, I was ready to be back to work, and Morgan, I think, was ready to drag me back to work. So,
Good to have you back. Congratulations again to Paul and Morgan. Woo! Almost a month or half a month of being married now, ish. Kind of, yeah.
I think
a couple weeks
I
of
think
being
we've made
married.
it 2
Good
weeks,
job. We've made
right?
it.
Something like that. Feels like
All
it.
right. When we come back, we will get into some Olympics discussion. There is a lot to talk about that has happened since Friday. Like, I was going through my list and tallying like kind of the events that stood out to me, and I'm like, oh, the list just keeps on going. So there's a lot to talk about with the Olympics and everything that has happened up until this morning even. So we'll be right back to talk about that and get you caught up and updated with everything that you may have missed here on Wake Up in the Den.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks. Here's why on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Aloha and good morning, Honolulu, from the Salem Media
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Escaro. He sat down, so you might not be able to see. Yeah, you can see his fingers in the YouTube. So, hour number one that we are in right now. That's right. If you're just joining us or maybe missed portions of the show last week when we told you guys about it, we are officially, this is our first show going from 8 to 10 Monday through Friday. So you guys will have something to listen to in the 9 a.m. hour. And by something, I mean something local. So we'll get to a lot of University of Hawaii and high school football talk coming up in the second hour, because I know that's another thing that you guys all want to be updated on as well. But a lot of the big things going on right now, part of the reason why we're going to 2 hours is because, especially on Mondays when football season and everything else starts going on, because we cover a plethora of local sports here, not only the UH, but also multiple, like all of our Division II colleges and institutions here as well, and all across not only this island, but try to touch on other islands when it comes to high school sports. So we're just going to run out of time with 1 hour once this sports season is totally like in full swing. So that's why you get the double dose of us here on Wake Up in the Den, and we will stream live on YouTube every Monday. We maybe Friday, haven't really thought about it yet. As you guys already know, this is our team. You guys are looking at our full-time team here. So so that's why we can't really like commit to streaming every day, because when we'll have the return of HPU Sharks Weekly and all of the equipment has to go there. So it's a whole thing. But Mondays, at least, you can consistently, barring anything going wrong like it did this morning with technology, we will be streaming live every Monday on YouTube. So be sure you guys tune in and look out for us. All right, getting to the Olympics discussion. I don't even know where to start right now. There's like a whole bunch going on. I guess I'll start off with gymnastics, because that just happened this morning.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Just happened this morning. There is a ton to get into when it comes to not only Team USA, but the Philippines, baby. Shout out to Carlos Yulo for winning the first gold medal for the Philippines in the floor exercise over the weekend. And then he did it again and he won gold in the vault. So Carlos Yulo becoming the hero for the Philippines, taking home gold for our people. And as Michael and I, back to the motherland. So he is a newly minted celebrity. I kind of I saw this thing on Twitter where they were talking about like some stuff that he gets. And he gets like 10 million pesos, a brand new like house and everything. He is going to be welcomed back with open arms. And it's just so, I don't even know where he came from. Like when I'm watching, I'm like, wait a minute. To win this medal? Like, what is going on? I've never heard of him before, but naturally, so stoked. If we're going to be stoked for another country, it's going to be like the motherland country, the Philippines.
The homeland is showing out now, right? I think the 2021 or 2020 Olympics, we had the first gold medalist in the weightlifting, and now we have a two-time gold medalist in the same game. So Philippines on the come up. We got to add the Philippine national anthem as a hotkey, Paul. I think we got to put it out there.
That's a good one.
I'll have to work on that here. Maybe I'll do that between hours.
But no, it was so cool to see, and anytime, and for any Olympian too, when they win big, it's very emotional. It's awesome to see from any country. We put in the extra, added like joy for the Philippines, of course, but even seeing there was a gymnast from Algeria who took home gold on uneven bars, which was surprising, but not surprising. This morning, actually, Rebecca Andrade, she took home gold, the gymnast from Brazil that I mentioned before last week, that she was, when it comes to the all-around game, she was the gymnast that very much competed with Simone Biles. Simone Biles even coming out and saying like, Rebecca's too close in terms of being competitive and I'm tired. So she's like kind of alluding to obviously this potentially, and not like it's a surprise to anyone, at 27 years old, one of the oldest gymnasts to even compete as well as she is at that age. She's probably, this is going to be her last Olympics because Rebecca Andrade is right there Rebecca took home gold today on the floor exercise, followed by Simone Biles with silver. And Jordan Childs gets her first solo medal, taking home bronze for the floor exercise. And I think it was cool, if you guys didn't get a chance to see it on social media, where they put the the other ladies, the bronze and silver, on the podium first. And then when they announced Rebecca Andrade, and as she steps up to the top, you have Simone and Jordan who are on the sides of her, and they kind of like do that, like, we're not worthy type of thing to her, which was so awesome to see. So it's things like that that makes the sport and just the Olympic Games, seeing that type of sportsmanship, knowing, and for Rebecca, just how hard she's worked, not being able to, it almost reminded me of like when we look at Usain Bolt. Well, we'll get to track in a little bit, but Usain Bolt, or when it comes to the NBA, like how the Utah Jazz couldn't win the NBA Finals because they were going up against like Michael Jordan. So it's like for Rebecca, it's like she would be killing it and taking home medals if Simone Biles was not competing. So it was nice to see her, as much as I love Simone. But I was like, okay, well, this gymnast, you know what? I can feel happy for her, because it's just one of those, like, you're going up against the greatest of all time, and like coming up that short every single time, it was pretty awesome to see. And it was phenomenal in the gymnastics world.
I saw a lot of people talking about it, and the moment in general gives off one of those iconic Olympic photos, like the all-time, where either it's the passing of a torch or a very big moment in terms of world history. And it's almost kind of both of those things, right? Where I see some of the tweets that come out, and obviously, the struggles that have gone through in the world of gymnastics have been very well documented, whether it be just the horrors of the whole Nasser case, or if it's just the culture of it in general and how tough it can be on young men and women in general. It was cool to see. It's the first time that it's 3 black women podiuming. That was a very, very cool moment, very cool visual. Simone Biles coming back from the twisties and what was a very dark time in her career. She's somebody who has very much so helped the culture of gymnastics move away from that toxic and the negative part of things. And this type of moment, that type of picture, is kind of the encapsulation of how gymnastics is moving forward. And it's cool, right? Because Rebecca, you're right. She dominate, if not going against the GOAT. And it's like, one of those things.
So hopefully she'll be back another 4 years, and we could potentially see her win gold, because it's like, thanks, Simone Biles.
I love it. It's a really cool moment, and it's what the Olympics are about. I know there have been so many extra storylines here and there, but at its core, it is still the peak of athletes competing against each other, and the respect that they have for each other for being so good at the same craft.
Yeah, and now Simone, 11-time Olympic medalist, which includes Paris. 7 gold. Is that good? That's kind of good, huh? 7 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze at the ripe gymnastics age of 27 years old. And I think, if anything, that's like probably the most inspiring, is to be able to not only come back from what happened in Tokyo and all of the controversy, or, well, all that she had to deal with in terms of the negative press that went her way, but just coming back, smile on her face, kicking butt, taking names, and then they went through that whole thing with like her husband, Jonathan Owens, and the podcast taken out of context. You should probably put like full quotes in there, and so to prevent things being taken out of context like that when you post it on YouTube. So, but that's what happens in those situations. So, fortunately, he was there to support her, got the okay to take off from Bears training camp, and it's phenomenal to see. And Jordan Childs being there on the podium. We brought up the toxic environment that USA Gymnastics had to endure for a long time. Jordan Childs was almost a casualty of that, and Simone Biles had heard about what she was struggling with, invited her to train with her in Texas, and here we are today. So it's been amazing, and I love, as much as I love the 90s of gymnastics, because that's just the time I grew up with,
of course,
but this time around it's just so phenomenal. And as a kid, you didn't know that it was that toxic back then in the night. You're just like, oh my gosh, Team USA wins like the first team gold medal ever, like beat Romania, Russia, yada, yada, yada. And then everything happened, and you're like, man, those women went through a lot, and they were still
They're
able
tough,
to
man.
endure it and win. And now you have this new culture in USA Gymnastics that I guess Simone helped to cultivate, and it's awesome to see. I'm getting chicken skin now just because I love the sport of gymnastics so much. I used to be a gymnast. I told this story last week. I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast, and then I realized I was too tall.
Wait, have you seen the
I thought I
trend
could.
the
Oh,
trend
yeah.
of the videos where it was like I was not selected for the 2024 Paris Olympics? All of them are so good.
That would have been me
I need to
trying to
make
do
that
a
3 years
backflip.
from now.
Trying to do a backflip. I was
try-
like the worst, but I thought so. I was really fast running down the vault. That was like my favorite because
great.
I just like jump on there. But then like uneven bars was just horrendous because then I wasn't good enough for my mom to buy me the little strappy things, and so you're just like just chalk in your hands, and you have all of the callus and the blisters on your
Oh
hands.
God.
Oh my goodness, it was and then balance beam. But I thought I was gonna be a professional gymnast, not realizing like that it's pretty much like near impossible. It's probably more difficult to make the Olympic team than like the NFL and the NBA because it's slim to
The
5.
best
So
of the best. Oh God.
dare to dream.
Dare to dream. Listen, that's me for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Handball team, I'm on the way. Whether
is-
it's Team USA
fun
or
fact,
Germany.
That's the one. That's
I'll
one of
be
the 5
there.
sports we brought it up last week. Handball is one of the 5 sports the U.S. has never won a medal in.
I'm there.
Well,
2028.
There's we can be. They should have like a mixed gender 3x3 basketball team, and we can
That would be
compete.
fun.
Because there are events that they need to do to qualify. That's why like our 3x3 teams don't have the best of the best because they're usually during the NBA season or WNBA season. So
I was reading
the
about
3
this.
of us, we could if the higher ups will let us go and compete, I mean, we can go get something going.
I think so. Media League. We're calling out all of you other media people.
3-on-3 Media League.
3-on-3 Media League. We got you. We got this.
That
All
would
right.
actually. I think that's the move.
That would be so fun. All right, we got to step aside for a break. When we come back, we will continue our Olympics weekend recap because there is still a lot to get into, including that photo finish by Noah Lyles for the men's 100 meters. Woo! Fastest men on the planet. And of course, see if you guys missed how the women did as well. We'll tell you about that. But we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks. Here's why on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Aloha and good morning, Honolulu. From the Salem Media Traffic Center, I'm Tyson Brady.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you. Ooh, crack there. The beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Michael Escarrow, Paul Brecht. I'm Kule Ugbayani. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning at 8 and now from 8 to 10. That's right. So you'll be able to hear us all the way till 10 o'clock, 2 hours, streaming live on YouTube every Monday, potentially other days, but Monday for sure. So you guys can watch us. Hopefully we have some friends on the continent that we can share a little Hawaii and aloha with. The weather is beautiful outside. So thank you guys. And that's why you guys are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. We are getting you caught up with a bunch of stuff that happened over the weekend with the Olympics, at least things that really stood out to me all the way up until this morning. We talked about gymnastics in the previous segment. Going over to, should we go to the pool or to the track, you guys? There's like both things that are going on right now. Let's go with the pool. I'm just going to pick one out there because it's like everything. There's
the pool, you say?
Oh, the pool. Oh, yeah, I know. Paul has a lot to say about that when it comes to another country. But first, we'll start off with a shout out to Miss Katie Ledecky. 4 gold medals in the 800 meter freestyle. There was someone that was actually close next to her, but
Congrats
nonetheless, I know. Congrats on
them.
second place. Another situation that we talked about Simone Biles and Rebecca Andrade, and now it's every female swimmer during this time, just like the male swimmers during Michael Phelps' time. Although Michael Phelps got like some hard rubs from some people like during his time there, but Katie Ledecky, I mean, she just continues to do her thing, and it was close for most of the race for that 800 meters, but nope, she comes out on top. 4. That's incredible. 4 gold medals for Katie. Something that the first time I watched this particular event in the pool was both for the pool and track, actually. That's why it'll be a good transition. But USA taking home the gold for the 4x100 mixed swimming. So they set a world record and took home gold, beating China with the silver and Australia with the bronze. So I thought that was really cool. I'm like, where was I in the Tokyo Olympics? Because they said this is like the second Olympics where they have these mixed races in both like track and swimming. And I thought that was pretty awesome. Like, that's neat because there's some strategy to it, because so obviously you have like 4 legs and you need to have 2 women and 2 men. But other than that, like, you can choose which swimmer of the gender like swims which type of swim and what leg. So it's kind of interesting to see the strategy on there. Yeah.
I saw some stuff about the same thing where it's like the U.S. always has like a guy swim the third leg, and it's, you know, they always do this, and it's why they're good here because they know their team's strengths and what. I'm like, yeah,
but it's fascinating.
Swimming strategy is insane, and I love. So actually, fun fact: you talk about when you were a kid, you thought you were going to be like you wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. I was a big swimmer. I wanted to do competitive swimming when I was a kid.
It's kind of funny. I was too tall for gymnastics, and you're too short for swimming.
Yeah, and that's what I said was like, because I'm a good swimmer, and I actually I would have done pretty well, but it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like naturally talented, but then you look at Michael Phelps, and it's like this guy has gills who, you know, his webbed hands and feet and like all this stuff. So you look at that and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. These guys are Olympic level people. But swimming,
and we'll tell ourselves that it's only because of our height is why we wouldn't be.
100%.
Yeah, it's totally our height. We just didn't have the bright height for
the
those
man
sports.
above said no to me. That's all. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be there.
I mean, if I was 5 feet or under and you were like over 6'5", then we totally would have been in the Olympics.
I
gold
would
medalists.
Be bringing it home for us every single time, beating the Australians, beating the French. No. First off, shout out to swimming, by the way, because big reason why the U.S. is even competing with China for the overall gold medal lead is because of USA's swimming program. 8 gold medals out of the 19 that the U.S. has won. Second place as of right now behind China's 21.
See, Michael brought up a good point about similar to all-star voting, where you have to weigh the types of medals that you have.
Yeah, there's
to really tell be the winner of the Olympics overall. So it's like your gold is worth a little bit more points.
So
and
I saw
silver.
someone suggest they were like, what if we did a scoring where it's like gold medals are worth 3 points or whatever, silver or 2 and bronze or 1. And that way, it changes up so it's not totally medal count, but it still matters that you continue to medal in a whole bunch of them. It's interesting. Either way, go U.S. I think that the remaining events might favor a few of the U.S. teams, comparatively speaking, to the skill of what China has shown so far in some of the other events, because, oh my God, are they skilled in some of these. It's been so fun, and that's always the fun thing, because we opened up the Olympic chat about, some of these countries that are winning their first golds and all of those. And those moments, man, are they so special that, it reminds you that happens even for the people at the top as well, right? Where a lot of these people, it's their first gold medal as well. Yeah, they come from countries that may have populations that are bigger, more opportunities to perhaps win these golds, but nonetheless, one person winning one gold medal is incredible. It's been so fun.
And then you have Jordan Childs, I mentioned, winning bronze this morning. That was her first individual medal, and she looked like she won gold. She was so emotional about just being able to win her own medal. Obviously, they were excited when they won team gold, but knowing that this was your individual medal that you won, and she was so excited just to win bronze, that was cool to see.
It's a good reminder in what has become a very much so a big hater sphere in the sports world, that winning the overall number 1 spot is not always every single thing. There are little goals that you step your way up to that are so life-changing, so incredible, where you mention it, where it's you go on Twitter and you'll see people oh, why are they celebrating bronze? Oh my God, are you serious? Oh, there's a meme where it's
as
this
they're
guy going
overweight
crazy
and on their couch,
right?
And why are they celebrating
and it's
bronze
this
medal?
is they are top 3 in the world in something that they are dedicating their lives to.
When it comes to your average Joe, I think my favorite person is that shooter that didn't have.
God, the hitman from.
Yes, he just.
I shouldn't say he's not a hitman.
He's not a hitman.
That's the joke.
But he's just the dad. Essentially, wore regular glasses and won or took silver in the shooting, but everyone else has fancy glasses and everything.
Doesn't need all that extra fancy
just
schmancy
shows up
stuff.
and take silver. I'm are you kidding me? That's pretty awesome.
53 years old. That's what he is.
Athlete. Prime. He is in his
The prime age of 53. I love it. All right. Going over to the track now, as we were talking about the 4x100 meter mixed swimming. That was pretty cool to see the 4x400 meter mixed track.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the USA, the day before in the qualifying, I guess you can say, they set a world record. However, when it came to the final, Netherlands snuck up on them and stole the gold medal right on that last leg. I mean, the U.S. was in the lead. U.S. took silver, so set the world record the day before and then walk away from the 4x400 mixed track with the silver, because Netherlands, that final leg, I mean, she just gave it everything she got, and they were able, it was maybe the last 50 to 100 meters of that final leg, Netherlands able to steal it. But that was phenomenal. Again, just like swimming, this is the first time I ever watched the mixed track relay or the medley, and that was really entertaining to watch.
It's very interesting, and that's what I love about the Olympics, is there are so many sports that you continue to learn about. Also, by the way, watching water polo in this Olympics has been far more
That's
enjoyable
one I have not
for me.
Watched yet.
Way more enjoyable for me in this one, because I finally understand the rules.
Right.
I finally covered it. Before I watched it, I was this is a fun sport. Now it's I'm watching it, I'm oh yeah, that's dirty, stop that. It's all this stuff. I'm actually engaged, and I know. No, all of it has been very, very fun to learn. The track and field, first off, shout out to my college classmate, Caitlin Hutchinson, who is there. She's not competing. No, sorry. But she's working in the media. She's a big track and field gal. One of the most fun people when it comes to covering track and field. I actually watch events that she'll cover because of her energy, similar to us here at HSRN. And that's fun, where you see in these events where the U.S., quite literally, like you said, the day before, setting records, and the next day for the medal, you see just a little bit of steam running out right at the end, and what a finish for the Netherlands. It was a fun event. and it continues to show just the change in guard in certain sports and certain events and other places that for a while the same teams have dominated.
Yeah. And when we talk about the same teams and countries winning their first medal, that's something that kind of happened in the women's 100-meter final. But
What a moment.
it was so awesome. But we do need to step aside for our final break of hour one. That's why we have 2 hours. We didn't even get to all of the local stuff that is UH football, high school football, and everything in between, which we will talk about in hour number 2. But we'll close out our first hour with the 100-meter finals for men's and women's track when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks. Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro. Hour number 1 just about wrapped up, but now you guys get to listen to us or watch us for 2 hours, as now Monday through Friday we will be live on air from 8 to 10 right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and hawaiisportsradio.com, streaming live on YouTube every Monday, potentially even more, but stay tuned for that. But we are excited to keep doing our new things here at the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, as we are just getting started with the full sports season right after the Olympics. But this has kind of turned into like our Olympics show. So I guess hour number 1 is officially Olympics, but that's
Very
why we
relevant.
could stretch it out. That's why we could stretch it out as it's been. And just real quick before we get into continue track and field, thank you, Michael, for reminding me about surfing. It hits a little different now that we don't have Carissa Moore or John Florence in there, but still 2 surfers with Hawaii ties on the women's side competing in the semifinals, which is delayed. Once again, that weather just not cooperating out in Tahiti. So you have Tatiana Weston Webb against Brisa Hennessy in 1 semifinals. And then you have Caroline Marks of the USA and, I forget her first name. It's not here. Defay of France. But it's just, why do we have to end up with the 2 Hawaii or surfers with Hawaii ties in the semifinals? It just is reminiscent to when I watch the World Surf League and you always have the 2 Hawaii flags always in the same leg. But either way, it's delayed, as it's kind of been the trend with surfing right now in the Olympics. So the men's and women's semifinals delayed in Tahiti. All right, going over to track and field. When we talked about winning gold medals for the first time for countries, shout out to Julian Alfred of St. Lucia for winning the women's 100-meter final with the time of 10.72. USA Sha'Carri Richardson 10.87, and Melissa Jefferson of the U.S. as well 10.92, taking home bronze. But Julian, I mean, the videos that you see of people cheering her on from her home country, it was just it's one of those, just like some of the other medals, when the U.S. gets beaten, you're like, meh. I feel just as happy for those other countries as I would for the U.S. There was a whole drama thing with Sha'Carri Richardson with trying to get into the warm-up area because she didn't take the team bus. That could have factored in. Even if it did, the fact that she had to deal with all of that and still go home and take home silver just shows that she is her.
Sha'Carri Richardson is an absolute monster. Yeah. It was going to take a monster performance to beat her. And that's what happened. And what a moment for St. Lucia. I mean, first medal, first gold. I mean, all of the storylines you could possibly put together were there for them. And that's another thing that goes back to our conversation about it's what the Olympics are about. Cool moments for countries and for people in countries to rally around and get together. And it's a reminder of how much simpler life really is when it comes down to it. It's really fun to see. And like you said before, it's not like Sha'Carri had a poor performance. She finished with silver, and obviously there are some things that probably could have gone differently and probably helped her performance. That has happened to multiple racers now. Racers is an inappropriate term. Runners, and just athletes in general. I don't love what France has done in terms of hosting, and perhaps it's not France's, but there have been plenty of reports about some of the issues, obviously with the Seine and some of the athletes who have now been forced to drop out because of, I think it was E. coli. Yeah. Bad in that term. I believe there's something going around about. I was
just imagining the sharks that are going to eat them. So there's this movie that I watched on Netflix that had to do with sharks that were in the Seine, and like there was a swimming competition, and then they were getting eaten by the sharks. So when I'm watching it, I'm just thinking of that movie I watched, and because it's pretty much impossible for sharks to be in there. But this whole movie, it was actually like a French movie and all that stuff. So it was kind of fun to watch, actually.
Well, I don't want to rep France too much because USA is still on the clock, and we're going to have the Olympics in LA in 4 years from now. And I feel like that's going to be a mess.
So I hear you out on that. I will say, I don't know if the US is going to need to have whoever the acting government official is at the time swim in the river before the event to prove its safety. So I think that alone can be a start forward. There's also just been other stuff, and that's where I'm saying I don't necessarily know if it's France or something with the French IOC or whatever, where some religious things have not been able to be up to par, whether it be some women with hijabs, and that reporting. I have not gone too far into that. But those type of things, it does remind you that with these sports, there are still real life portions of it that people are struggling through, whether it be, like I said, their ability to express their religious freedom or their ability to swim in a river without getting E. coli or any other thing. So it just, some things bad, some things from this Olympics have been otherworldly incredible. And that's what I'll focus on more.
Exactly. One thing that was outerworldly incredible was the photo finish. That was the men's 100-meter final. We'll kind of wrap up our Olympics talk right here, at least for now. And we'll get into, in the second hour, we'll get into some other basketball stuff. But for now, wrapping up our Olympics discussion with that literally photo finish. It took them like 5 minutes to determine who the winner was. But USA's Noah Lyles taking home the gold with 9.79, finishing by a nose or partial face over Kishane Thompson of Jamaica. So when you look at the official times, though, they are both 9.79, and then Lyles just finished if you do see the photo finish, it does look like Thompson's foot is over the line, but the foot does not count. It is the upper torso and face area. So I know a lot of people were like, oh, but he crossed it first. It does. The feet do not count when it comes to track. And it was just awesome to see, literally photo finish. And then another USA runner in Fred Curley took home the bronze with 9.81 seconds. But that
Imagine
was
running
just,
a 9.81 and getting bronze. Like you ran 2/200ths of a second behind, and you were well. And that was the thing, because while it wasn't a world record for first, second, and third, I believe it was a world record finish time for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. So all of them ran faster than anyone who has finished in those positions before.
Wow.
And still finished below the podium. So it was an incredible race in terms of how close it was. I got to learn, like you mentioned, the rule before with the foot versus the upper torso. And the reason they do that is because people would essentially just be diving at the line at that point to try and get across. Then it's no longer like a race or whatnot. It was a very interesting thing. It was a very educational weekend, I will say, for me, in learning about all the nuances of the many sports going on in the Olympics.
Yeah, by the way, for context, when we talk about those racers, and I mentioned it earlier about runners that had to go against Usain Bolt, someone that he just otherworldly speed. So he holds obviously the Olympic record at 9.63. So these gentlemen had 9.79 and Usain Bolt was 9.63. World record 9.58 set in 2009.
It's unbelievable.
So you're like, wow, photo finish.
Speed.
This is so awesome.
Fast.
And then I had to look it up. I'm like, all right, what was Usain Bolt's run time for the 100 meters? Because he just dominated. I know. I wonder if he had low key got it changed, right? You got it changed.
I was like, I hope that was just his born name or whatever, his given name by his mom would call him Usain Bolt. I'm calling him Usain Bolt.
But
what an otherworldly athlete.
9 point. So you're like, oh, photo finish is close, probably the closest finish in history, or if not one of 5,000ths of a second, and officially listed as the same time, and came down to the photo finish that took forever. What felt like forever, especially for these racers. In fact, Thompson thought he won at the end of it, and you're going to have to press it manually. Sorry.
All right, I was going to say, I'm like, is this going to hit here?
I see Paul's face. He looks all good. I forgot to tell you that before. We're doing the new thing, so we do have to step aside, but this is only hour number 1. When we come back, we will switch away from the Olympics ever so slightly, and we will get into UH football talk and high school football talk next on hour number 2 of the Wake Up in the Den.
Home of the Dallas Cowboys, KGU AM, K236CR, Honolulu is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760. The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Wake Up in the Den. Alongside Paul Brecht, Michael Lescaro, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Yes, for everyone that is like, whoa, you guys keep on going. If you're just tuning in, it's our usual local show that we've had for a couple of years now. Was originally 8 to 9. Now we've expanded the show because we've expanded our team and hence expanded our coverage. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. The first hour, we just could not get enough of the Olympics. But now we will switch gears ever so slightly and come back here to our home on Oahu and talk about University of Hawaii football as they are underway with fall camp. This past weekend or this past Saturday, they had a simulated scrimmage to try to replicate what the weather would be like when they face UCLA. Obviously, anything can happen in Mano. It could end up being rainy on that day, but you never know in terms of the game time. That's what the University of Hawaii tried to do. So, and then coming up a little later, Michael was out at multiple scrimmages over the weekend for high school football as we got our first preseason games happening this weekend, including Pac-5 versus Waialua, which you will be able to hear on this station on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and even on demand on hawaiisportsradio.com if you guys miss any of the game and want to, hear your student athlete's name called. All right, but first, before we get into high school, we will definitely dive into University of Hawaii football. This, my friends, I will kind of leave to you guys. And by you guys, I mean Michael and Paul, because Paul was able to go out there to the scrimmage on Saturday. Michael has been to quite a few practices as well. So between yourselves, I don't know, whoever wants to start first, because I have not been out there to see the team with my own eyeballs just yet. So I want to leave it to these guys.
I see Paul has his notebook, so I'll let go Paul first and I'll fill in the blanks.
So I was going to say, I have a proposition to go. I've seen them one time. Obviously, one time can be anywhere on the spectrum. So since Michael has been there more, figured I'd say what I saw most recently. And he can say whether or not he has seen something either similar or if perhaps it was just a bad day for some guys or a good day for some guys. Either way, one, so nice to be back, guys. I missed Hawaii football so much. It's fun talking recruiting. It's fun talking this, that, the other media days. Oh, Braden could be so good, lead the league in passing yards, all this stuff again, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter until you get out on the field, and it was nice to see them out on the field. Braden looks like a legitimate guy, right, where he's got the body, he has the athleticism. I'd love to see him continue that stretch from the end of last year where he started to run a bit more. The chemistry between him and Pefele Ashlock is impressive. Last year we saw it throughout the entire season, obviously. Pefele, a freshman All-American and all the accolades that came his way, tied for the team lead in touchdowns, most receptions on the team, yada, yada, yada. Buy that stock early. That is my best advice to anyone who listens, whether you are somebody who bets on futures or whatever. This is a kid, and Pefele Ashlock, who I personally believe is an NFL receiver by the end of his career here at UH, might be already trending that direction now. That's something that I know Timmy Chang also agrees with. That's something that he went on record to say during Mountain West Media Days, where Pefele's a guy who can develop into an NFL type of wide receiver, and saw the flashes last year. Need that this year as well to take step 2. Love to see him go over 1,000 yards. Would love to see him go 9-10 touchdowns once again. But he's going to get a lot of attention. Obviously, Stephen McBride's situation ongoing still. You need that second star, especially in this offense where Hawaii has exceptional depth at wide receiver in terms of a lot of bodies, bunch of guys who have competed already at the Division I level and been able to produce at smaller levels, not the 1,000 yards that you lost in McBride as of right now. You need somebody to step into that. I did not see that in Saturday's practice yet. I have not seen somebody step into that role where they have the chemistry with Braden Shager to be that secondary receiver that you can just hit over and over again. obviously you're 10 days into practice, 10 days into training camp. You're going to take some time. I'd love to see that happen in DeKel Crowdis, the transfer from Kentucky. He's a guy who you hope takes a similar step to Steven from last year, where go from a situation you don't really get a ton of burn, you don't get a ton of action, but you get a chance to go now into a Hawai'i system that throws the ball a lot, and something where you already come in with a Pefele Ashlock and somebody can take the pressure off of you. Would love to see that. Nick Senecal had a nice day on Saturday. I'd like to see him continue that step forward. There are a lot of options. I have not seen one that has stepped forward yet as number 2.
Have we seen any Shaker bombs yet, either at practice or at that scrimmage? Because that was one big thing, right, with McBride. He was the one catching those Shaker bombs. But have you guys seen any Shaker bombs even thrown to one of the receivers yet?
I don't think in full-on, offense versus defense. I know, I think when I was on air reporting from practice, I think Shaker had a really nice deep ball down the left sideline to Alex Perry, where the ball was in the air before Alex Perry even turned his head, like high up in the air. So I really like that. I know they've tried, on that practice I attended, they've tried to hit Tylen Hines on the outside a little bit, but I don't know if the quarterbacks are not still in sync with his speed, because some of the balls were kind of getting underthrown. But I mean, he's open. He's open. He's getting down there. It's just the DBs have time to react to get down there. But he can make a couple of jump balls. But I honestly, for me, I personally want to see less Shaker bombs this year. I know that's kind of his moniker and his thing. But what this offense needs is to be able to pick up small chunks across on offense and have extended drives and not have third and longs a lot, but you need to have some third and shorts to make that more manageable, where there is a potential threat of the run, and we'll get into the offensive line and how that might not even be a threat at all, but you need to give the defense something to think about on those third and shorts as opposed to third and longs, where you have to get 10 yards or more, and the defense is defending the stick. So yeah, I think getting longer drives gives the defense a chance to rest, because this defense is solid. The hard thing,
agree on that.
The tough thing is that a lot of times that they'll be playing, the team will be playing from a deficit, so they'll have less opportunities to show how good they are in defense, and they have to kind of prevent a little bit.
I will get into the defense a little bit further as we get into this. I agree in terms of Hawaii needs to be a bit better about sustaining drives this season. Last year, a lot of third and longs, and part of that because of the run game, as you mentioned. You need to be able to pick up some yardage on first and second down, make it third and manageable, just for the matter of, even if you don't run it as much, you want to have the threat where you can still pick up the first down with that third and whatever, but you're not going to run the ball on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12 if you're legitimately trying to pick up a first down. I will push back a little bit. I do want to continue to see the Shaker bombs, just because I think it's important in this offense just to score, like you mentioned, so that the defense isn't always playing from behind. But on top of that, that doesn't mean that you can't have the prolonged drives. That is a great point by you. The running game is something that I'm interested to see this year as well, especially considering you mentioned Tylen Hines making the move outside to wide receiver, a little bit less backfield action. A lot of talent in the backfield that they've brought in this past offseason. Finally got a chance to see Christian Vaughn. He's a big boy. I really do love the way that Sitani Mikaele, how he runs has always been a favorite of mine ever since I first saw him 2 years ago. And then now at this level, I like how that is. Even if he doesn't contribute this year, that's a guy who I like just as a bowling ball, isn't going to go down on first contact and has pretty good vision. He had a nice day on Saturday. Cam Barfield didn't get too many touches in terms of running the ball, but I saw him in the backfield a decent bit. They have a bunch of different bodies back there, but nobody has taken that number one spot by the horns and been like, all right, I'm going to be there. Something I am going to look for is pass protection out of your running backs, because that's going to be important. And can you also slip out? You have that original block. Can you slip out and provide an option to Braden, like we mentioned before, so you can pick up a little bit of yardage, even when those Shaker bombs, when the longer routes that take some time to develop, perhaps that's locked up. We saw that plenty last season. And instead of being forced to hammer it down the field can check it down for 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. Who's going to be able to do that from the running back position? I don't know yet. Michael, perhaps somebody has stuck out in other practices for you, but I don't have somebody who is a number one back right away.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to have a number one running back. I mean, we see in the NFL where there really isn't a lead back as much on teams where everything's kind of being by committee. And I think for the running backs, I don't think we're ever going to get to the days where you have like a Alex Green or a Nate Ilawa where this is your true lead guy and they're going to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. Like if we do get something like that happen, I don't know, with the position, I think it's too volatile to kind of put all your eggs in one basket. So having running backs by committee, what you want to do is have running backs that can do multiple things so that they can get on the field. I think that's more important. I want to kind of go back to the run game and the offensive line and kind of push back on Paul pushing back on me where
I love it.
Where I'm gonna use kind of a quote from Rod York, when during the days of Mackenzie Milton, where the bubble routes, right, from the slot receivers, the arrow route, the throws to the flats, those are in the run and shoot are an extension of the run game. And I know people in the day and age of stats and box score watching, people will look at the box score like, oh, they can't run the ball, blah 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 blah. But look at those little short passes. Like, of course, they're going to go down in Braden Shager's stat sheet and the receiver's receiving total and catches, but those are an extension of the run game. Yeah, you're not getting anything on first and second down with the running backs, sure. But that little, like, 3 yard pass that you can make that can maybe you can break a tackle or whatnot, that's probably more effective than running the ball. I think in the run and shoot, you hardly see, because of the protection schemes. Essentially that running back is like a six offensive lineman. So, usually they're protecting for the quarterback. So, I don't think that dump off to the running back is necessarily there in the run and shoot, but definitely to the slot receiver or the wide receiver, the tight end. If the short route is there, take it, right? And that's the things where I kind of say were maybe less Shager bombs, because I think back in last year, Shager was looking downfield too much, kind of looking for the big play while the short route was open. And sometimes you just have to take it. Like they always say, you don't go broke taking a profit. And seeing this team march down the field is going to be something I want to see. That big play, of course, you love to see it, but I think if we don't have to go to that opens it up, because if we know Shager can throw the ball, and if the defense is focusing on stopping the short game, how even more will get more Shager bombs. So that's kind of where I'm on with that.
Yeah, and then that's what I want to kind of reiterate your point on the running backs and Paul's too, about a lot of times their primary responsibility is blocking in this type of offense. That's why you see so much action going to like the slot, because they're almost like getting that dump pass and being able to get a lot of yak. But it's going to be fascinating to see, and at least that additional offensive lineman from the running back, which why you see someone like Christian Vaughn, who is kind of built to be able to block, right? We talk about Tylen, for his size, he's more of that speedy type of guy, but not big enough to essentially really contribute to blocking. So that's partially
way harder.
Partially the reason why they moved him, but seems like he will be a lot more effective as a receiver in that position. And kind of what you said about him being a little too fast almost brings me back to the point that I always tell people about Tua Tagovailoa, where people underestimate how like good Tua is in terms of his accuracy to hit someone like Tyreek Hill, who is like so fast, and be able to get that timing down. And that's what, if UH and the quarterbacks, specifically Braden, obviously can get on the same page and be able to figure out the timing when it comes to Tylen Hines. If he's able to break away from our DBs, where we had Jonah Panoke say, like, going up against our defense here, they're just so solid, it makes them better. If Tylen's able to like break away from our DBs and Braden is able to figure out how to hit him in stride, I mean, we're going to start seeing some very exciting plays that Hawaii fans have been like yearning for.
Yeah, I know we're going to have to go to break here soon, so we will talk about the defense at some point, but it is exciting to see Tylen out there again, just healthy, because not only is he contributing in the passing game now, it's also nice to see him out there for special teams and what he can do there. I'm sure it makes Coach Thomas Sheffield happy to see him back out there. The first play that I saw when I got to practice Saturday was Tylen Hines taking it all the way to the house on a kickoff return. It's just one of those things where his speed, his athleticism, the dynamic nature that he adds to the Bows, it's something that is so tantalizing for fans and coaches alike. Nice to see him out there. And kind of before we go, I will say on the offensive line, I agree once again, just for short game, that can also help out making the offensive line look a little bit better. Just because, I don't know, it's common sense. Less time you got to block, the better you're probably going to block.
Yeah, the better it'll look on the stat sheet with the least amount of stacks, the better, because that was kind of an issue last season. So hopefully they can get that fixed, or at least get the ball out of Braden's hands a lot quicker. All right, got to step aside. When we come back, we will stick with our University of Hawaii football talk and switch over to the defense and see what Paul and Michael saw from them so far throughout this fall camp. So don't go anywhere. UH football, we continue. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
School.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro, continuing our University of Hawaii football talk as the guys were able to see a lot of this team so far in fall camp. Paul getting to see them on Saturday. Michael's been out at a few practices. We talked a lot about the offense in the first segment. Now we want to switch over to the defense. And whoever wants to start first, boys, what say you from the defensive side this season so far?
I can kind of run it back from what we did last time, and Michael can correct me on whatever he's seen more over the course of training camp thus far. But the defense looks pretty darn good to me, where I'm excited for the year. Obviously, Dennis Thurman, a longtime defensive coach, whether it be at the NFL level, the college level. He played himself at a high level, both at D1 and in the NFL for a while. In terms of somebody who you just trust to run the defense, it's a guy like that. And they seem to really take to his coaching, Jeff Reinbold's coaching, all of the coaches there. It seems the players almost are hanging on every word. They're focused. They are paying attention. The energy is very, very good. I'm excited. There are a lot of bodies up front for the defensive line to rotate through. It seems like they have a lot of guys who can give you a similar level of production, and that's really good because, so obviously a Jets fan, I come from the Robert Saleh school of thinking where the ability to rotate guys, pass rushers, defensive linemen, the ability to keep them fresh allows them to play at 100% for all of the snaps that they're out there. albeit maybe they're not playing as many snaps as they think they could. Perhaps their production is higher than they ever thought it could have been anyway. I also like what Jeff Reinbold has done out there in terms of the drills that they do. It seems the energy on the defensive line is even higher than last year. And that was good because I thought the line became something that turned on towards the second half of the season and towards the end of the stretch as well. And then the linebacker crew from there is pretty darn good, man. There's this guy, Logan Taylor, I'm not sure you guys have heard about before. He's coming back from this ACL injury, and you'd never know because he is flying around the field all over the place, as loud as ever, and just exactly the vocal leader that you want out of your linebacking crew, especially one that comes back with some experience. You have Jalen Smith there as well, who he came on towards the second half of last season and could really turn it up this regular season as well. On top of that, they have Jemai Otis, who they're pretty excited about, the former Bishop Gorman linebacker who finished up his first year last year and hoping to take a step forward this year as well. One of those guys with the athletic frame that if he can just put it together on the field could be very impressive for the Bows. And then lastly, it's the DBs. And, it's the same story as last year. The DBs are an elite group and a deep group at that, where you have Cam Stone coming back. He's a guy who Timmy has talked about is going to be expected to cover a lot of number one receivers in the Mountain West, and the Mountain West has a lot of talent at the wide receiver position in general. On top of that, Verdell Edwards, somebody who is named to the East-West Shrine Bowl watch list, so somebody with NFL hopes down the stretch as well. You bring in a Fabian Ross from USC, a former four-star there who is looking for a change of scenery. Perhaps he comes in, he's able to join a group that was already strong. You have Caleb Brown, you have just a plethora, JoJo Forrest, a plethora of talent in the defensive backfield that joins back with Peter Manuma, who I know that I've said this in confidence to you guys before. This is a guy who I expect to be playing on Sundays. You know, at the end of his career here in Hawaii, I expect him to get, at the very least, a cup of coffee, a few seasons in the NFL, just for the matter of his ability to pick up things and how quickly he becomes productive. Obviously, as a freshman, was a standout for Hawaii and only got better in year two. Now, hoping in year three, it's otherworldly, we'll say.
Yeah, and with Peter Manuma, right, like as we said, he showed up and showed out being so young, little undisciplined, and that's because of just his age and being young, but the older he gets, the more mature he gets, the more disciplined he becomes, especially if you play for someone like Dennis Thurman, of course. And bringing in Dennis Thurman, an experienced guy that is coaching the defense, obviously not to take anything away in all the efforts that were done by the previous coaching staff over the defense, but having someone with that experience is only going to elevate this defense as we've seen so far.
Yeah, one thing I like about Coach Dennis Thurman is that this defense, especially the back seven, they're reacting a lot more quicker and faster, anticipating plays. And I think that comes from film study. Right now, it's kind of hurting our offense because they kind of know all of our offense's tendencies. Yeah. But once we get to the nitty gritty, I'm curious to see how they're gonna do. And you know, right now we have a lot of depth in the defensive backfield. I know Mekhi Pay is still not 100%. Verdell Edwards too, not 100%. But whoever fills in those defensive back rows, they're gonna have an opportunity to perform. I want a little shout out to, I think, UNLV transfer Kilinahe Mendiola Jensen, Pro City kid. He went to Punahou, but he should be a guy that kind of pops off. He's one of the bigger safeties, I think, kind of about 6'1", 6'2". But yeah, the DBs are really good. I think Paul mentioned Caleb Brown, Cam Bell's also kind of showing out, and JoJo Forrest. That's one that's going to do well. And I think the practice I was at, I think Cam Stone was kind of taking it easy. That a lot of people to kind of get in, get more reps, and they're going to be flying around. And that's kind of why I go back to the offense and where we need to be playing with the lead and not playing from a deficit, because these guys have an opportunity to make plays on the defensive ends position. You know, Elijah Robinson, he's the leader in that room and just so experienced and such a veteran. But look out for Jackie Johnson. You know, he's a little short. I don't want to say short, but a little undersized firecracker.
Firecracker is a perfect term
but
for
you know,
him.
I think not this past scrimmage, but the scrimmage before, he got in a little scuffle or
Well,
or even this scrimmage.
I have a surprise for you. This scrimmage he did too.
Oh, that's right. You said they got to a little.
He is a firecracker in every way, shape, and form. You are spot on there. But that's exactly what the defense needs, especially on the defensive line. You need to have that extra edge, that little kind of screw you, we'll say, inside of you. And it was hot on Saturday. Tempers flare. And in training camp, anybody who's played football knows this. During training camp, at some point, you get sick of hitting each other. You don't want to hit each other anymore. You get
sick of being hit.
Right. You get sick of the same guy hitting you over and over and over again. Eventually, you take exception and tempers flare. And the good part is you see a little bit of fight. You see the guys because they're competitive. It's good. And that's exactly what Jackie Johnson III is. He's just an absolute monster when it comes to his passion out there. And if you can harness that type of passion, and all of the guys can, whoo-wee, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and then linebacker Nalo Emerson, the Kahuku product. He's one that's going to be kind of a sleeper pick to kind of make an impact on this defense. You know, from everybody I talked to that's kind of covered UH football for the past couple of years, he looks different. Like, you could definitely see he's one of the guys on the team that came back in the offseason, came back this year, looking like a different person in a good way. And kind of like Braden Shager, where he just looks different out on the field, playing quarterback. So, yeah, defense, I'm not too worried. I think, again, like, it's just gonna come down to the offense needing to kind of extend drives, right? I think we saw it in one of the games where we actually had a lead going into or to start the fourth quarter, but then I think it was that game where we had that little thing where Timmy had to apologize for kicking a field goal, which he didn't need to apologize.
I hated that.
But
I was so upset with that.
This defense, as long as they have an opportunity to make plays, they will make plays. So we just offense just needs to take care of the ball and let the defense go to work, because I think defense is actually gonna win us, gonna be the difference in some of these games.
I hated not going for the field goal. That's not what I hated. The fact that he felt that he needed to apologize for the appropriate play, that's what I hated. I should put that on record. I don't want people thinking I was somebody who he needed the apology from. No, man, you're right. It's back to last year all over again, right? Where we talk about, and it was the buzzword topic the entire time, complementary football. Can you play complementary football? Can the offense and the defense both click on the same day? Can the special teams limit large returns, big plays in that third phase of the game? Can you play complementary football? Because there's a lot of talent on this Hawai'i team now. Like, that has been what the 3 years of Timmy Chang has been accumulating talent, getting his guys in the door, and now we've talked about it. Year 3 is about putting it on the football field, going out and actually executing it and doing it all together, because we've seen the flashes, right? In year 1, Braden is taking down Fresno State or whatnot, and then year 2, I mean, the upset against Air Force and the walk-off versus Colorado State, and there are these moments that you're like, man, the greatness of this team is there. But then there are also the moments where San Diego State, you give up 21 points in the fourth quarter and end up losing. You end up having a lead late into a second half, and then your defense gives out. Early on in a game, your offense can't get anything going, and your defense is on the field for the entire first half. It's about being able to help each other out, that complementary football, and they have the horses to do it. They have the coaches to do it. Now they just have to do it.
Yeah, and limit the mistakes, right? Because then when I think about mistakes, I just think all the way back to that Vanderbilt game where not being positioned correctly on special teams, and there you go, you just let up the touchdown.
Between a win and a loss.
Woo! But hopefully with a lot of these players returning, a lot more mature, obviously new coaches coming in, veteran coaches, hopefully now we have the formula. I believe we do. It seems like it's all coming together. We heard Jonah Pinoke say it feels very reminiscent to the 2019 season when Coach Rolo's final season here in Hawaii. Not only the culture, but just in terms of how good the team feels like they are. So that's very reassuring to a lot of UH fans as well. But of course, there's still left to be seen. There's still a lot more fall camp leading up to kickoff against Delaware State on August 24th. So excited. And then we think, look, we spent half the second hour of the show talking about UH football, and the season didn't even start yet. Like, this is why we are going to 2 hours.
It's the reason it's 2 hours.
Because come the actual season, there's going to be one more thing, Michael.
No. I was just, just thinking about life.
Thinking about life. Anywho, we do need to step aside as we continue hour number 2 of Wake Up in the Den. When we come back, we will get Michael's thoughts on being out there for a few scrimmages on the high school football level as preseason gets underway this weekend. And as you heard from the traffic reports and stuff, that man, public school is back in session now. This is crazy, though. The year is here, the new sports calendar, and we couldn't be more excited. But don't go anywhere. We'll talk high school football next on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Honey, did you fix the...
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. Let's Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2, as we are going from 8 to 10 every weekday morning here on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network and streaming live every Monday on our YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can be even more of the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro. We spent the first half talking a lot about University of Hawaii football through fall camp so far. And if you missed any of that, including our first hour as well, where we spent a lot of time just recapping everything that happened in the Olympics, you can always listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Switching over from UH football to high school football, as there were multiple scrimmages over the weekend. Michael had a chance to check out a few of them, and this Friday, we will actually bring you preseason high school football action between Pac-5 and Waialua. You can listen right here on Hawaii Sports Radio, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. The one actually blip in the schedule, though, is that there will be a regular season game on Saturday between Moanalua and Radford, and that's like the whole field situation and whatnot. So that's kind of like the one thing on the master schedule where that one game, amongst all the other preseason games, there will be one game in Division 1 that will actually count. And that will be against Moanalua and Radford. So it's kind of interesting to see. I remember when Joel Kawachi told me that at the ending of last sports season that they will have an early regular season game. I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting. So that's one game.
It's the Battle of Salt Lake Boulevard.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's good. Salt Lake Boulevard. So Moanalua, Radford. That game will be on Saturday at 4 o'clock is a JV, and then varsity to follow. The Wailua Pac-5 game we will bring you starts at 7. And then there's a whole plethora of preseason games as well. But if you guys want some of the schedules, you can go to hawaiisportsradio.com, and there's a little button on our homepage that you can see a bunch of the matchups, including preseason and regular season. But for now, Michael, just tell us a little bit about some of the scrimmages that you got to check.
Both have two new head coaches with Kalani. They have Kenrick Pai, who's kind of taking over kind of an interim transition period where head coach Radford Dua, kind of was dealing with some medical issues before he unfortunately passed. And then Aiea with Coach Mika Li'i, where he was a long-term assistant, but this is first time in his head role. We're actually going to play some of his audio, or both of their audios later this week, I think. So yeah, it was good to see. I think both teams are going to kind of be middle of the pack in their respective divisions, in Kalani in Division 2 and Aiea in Division 1, but both teams they're gonna scrap. They're gonna be scrappy. They're gonna make the upper echelon teams in the division work for those wins, and they might pull off some upsets here and there. Got to see some clips from Wailua actually play Waianae JV, and he's like, oh, they're playing a JV team. Yeah, yes, Wailua's low in numbers this year, but that JV team was no slouch. They have a good quarterback in Makana Kaio, which we're gonna probably see in a few years. But yeah, Wailua, they're gonna be okay. They're kind of like, every year they're gonna fight, and if they can just stay healthy and not get worn down, because they're a very competitive team, and I think we're gonna see that on Friday. I'm sure we're gonna preview that game and that on Wailua a bit more as the week goes. But yeah, Wailua's they're gonna be really good if they don't get into shootouts, and if they play a shortened game, they're going to be right there in the end. And fortunately, Pac-5 is kind of a team that runs the ball a lot. So that game's going to go, it's going to go really quick, because the ball's going to just, the clock's just going to keep on churning. Saw some clips of Campbell versus St. Louis, with Campbell unofficially beating St. Louis 21-17. Unofficially, because it's just a scrimmage. Jaren Kiawe looks elite. You can definitely,
that guy's pretty good.
There's a lot of throws that he makes that a lot of quarterbacks don't make. And with this Campbell squad, even though there's kind of a lack of big name talent at receiver, a lot of small undersized guys, they're really explosive, and they kind of put some moves on some of the DBs for St. Louis, and I can kind of see why you might, or understand now why you might see University of Hawaii commit Titan Lakaden, who was the first to commit to UH of the class of 2025 before his junior season. Why you might see him play also defensive back, because he's just that good of a talent that they're going to need back there on the open division level. But yeah, St. Louis quarterback Nainoa Lopes, he's going to be kind of the up and coming guy. He's going to be, I think, class of 2026. Still he's gonna have to get acclimated quickly to a full 11-on-11 game, because he was tearing it up in the pylon circuit and in 7-on-7 leagues. And then got to check out Waipahu and Pro City. Got to talk to both head coaches, long-term head coaches of the program, and I believe alums of the program, in Pro City head coach Robin Kami and Waipahu head coach Bryson Carvalho, which will also play their audio later this week. They both have challenges moving up to another division. Look at Pro City; they've never won an OIA title, but they have to move up a division because of the way the OIA works. And but they've gotten close. Coach Robin, that's the one guy I want to really see win a title. They're going to be solid defensively and offensively. But quarterback, they're gonna need some better play there. They lost a really good starter in Trey DeCosco, so that's I think we called one of their games last year.
Yes.
Yeah, he had the game-winning pass, I believe, right? But yeah, and then Waipahu, they last year they got some they got some headlines when a lot of players, mainly from Aiea, kind of transferred in, but the transfer portal give it, now take it away, and some of their key players that they were expecting is gone, right? I think the starter that helped them win the OIA titles in Division 1 the past 2 years, he's now at Aiea, and the quarterback that they were expecting to kind of be that lead guy, I think he's transferred out as well. So it's gonna be tough for those teams, but they're what's good to see with those is that if the players that are gonna play is representing their community, and that's what you want to see at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be a fun season. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to getting my sleep during the week.
And just to reiterate a little bit and reset for everybody that isn't familiar with what schools are in what division right now, at least with the OIA. So in the open division, you have Kahuku, Midilani, Campbell, Kapolei, Waipahu. Now, as we mentioned, they were the Division 1 champs, but now in open division, and Farrington rounding up the 6 schools in open. In Division 1, we have Kailua, Lelehua, Waianae, Moanalua, Aiea, Nanakuli, Radford, and Pearl City. And then in Division 2, Castle, Kaiser, Roosevelt, Kaimuki, Kalaheo, Kalani, Wailua, and McKinley. And I want to give our Division 2 schools a little bit of love as well. I mean, we did already, and we will call a Division 2 school on Friday. But Michael, just the early look at the Division 2 race, is there any school that seems to stand out or, in your opinion, might be making the run this year?
I think Roosevelt has a really solid chance at repeating. I think there was a question if Ioane Kamana'o was going to be back, but he's now back at Roosevelt, so or at least got to see him back at Roosevelt, so that's good to see. They have a returning quarterback. One guy that you got going to circle the names on is Isaiah Nakamura. He was a starting sophomore linebacker for the Rough Riders last year. They got hurt, so I know when we got closer to the postseason and state tournament, you didn't really hear his name, but he's going to be one to watch out for. He's going to make some plays. I got to see some of his clips against Punahou on Saturday. And they're just kind of stacked. Roosevelt kind of has what it takes. They kind of have positions at all, or loaded at all position groups. So they're gonna be a team to watch out for. Kaiser's always usually good. Right now, kind of a question mark at quarterback, because their quarterback, who was, I think, a state champion. I think he set the new record for one of the state track events. Is now back at Punahou now. So those are the teams that are gonna be kind of taking the lead, I believe. Division 1 though, it's a very competitive field.
Yeah.
Kailua, they got some players. They got some players that have received offers, some 3-star recruits. Moanalua is gonna be really good, moving down from the open division. Participation is gonna increase, and that school is always a perennial contender when they're in the middle division. Lelehua, that's gonna be a stacked squad. Waianae moving down too as well. The participation is gonna come out. They're gonna show out. And you look at Nanakuli as well. Nanakuli, they're kind of
Hawks, baby.
Hawks, baby.
They're usually good in Division 2, but now at this middle tier, they can actually hang in this division. And then Radford's really good too. I know Fred Thanoa over there is really gonna get that program. So Division 1, I think we should probably do a lot more Division 1 games, because that game, there's no gonna be any gimmies. That game's gonna be competitive all the way through, and it's gonna be fun to see.
That's what you want, right? It is, at the end of the day, and that's kind of the point of the divisions, so that it is competitive, so that you don't have these, 63-7 games or 63-6 games, and it's the ability to actually get better as well, because the talent in Hawaii is so high. Like you mentioned before, you don't need to be an open division team to be like, well, my team's not playing in the open division this year. No way I can play at the next level. Not to mention, there are some players who are rated like stars and whatever, but also I think back to last year, shout out to our guy Eric Stevens, who he's off to a Division 2 school, who he's going to really enjoy that type of level, and you're able to develop your game even more at that next level, and the ability to do that, you do that, open level, D1 level, you do it all over the place. Really excited for this upcoming year, and Michael's right, we probably should do a bunch of D1 games, because a lot of those matchups you look at and you're like, on any given night, man.
We do have some interleague games scheduled out in this preseason. We have our football broadcast schedule up on our OIA Sports page, so you guys can go to hawaiisportsradio.com and click on the OIA Sports tab to see what games we have coming up. So this Friday, we will have Wailua versus Pac-5 out there in Wailua, which I'm excited to go check out according to Darnell Arsenal, the best concession stand in the state. So we're looking forward to that. As long as I didn't ask Darnell when he was here if they had chili and rice, because they have to. He did mention shoyu chicken.
Chili and rice.
He did mention shoyu chicken, so I'm gonna have to try it and see how bomb it is. But chili and rice, you guys know, is already my go-to at some of these games. In the following week, so that will be on Friday. on Saturday. Be sure to follow us on social media. A lot of stuff going on. Michael will be running around for multiple games and events in town because August 10th equals the Sisterhood Social, where Paul and I will be hunkered down, and then Michael will just kind of be moving all over the place with a few town games and stopping by Sisterhood Social to get some content for us. So follow us on social media at High Sports Radio. Another big game coming up on Friday as well will be Kahuku and St. Louis at Kahuku.
That's actually on Saturday now.
Oh, Saturday. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Saturday. Oh, that's right. Because Andrew asked me about that and said it was on Saturday. So Kahuku and St. Louis is one. Again, these are still preseason. So the teams are kind of still working through some stuff as well. Next week, we will bring you McKinley at Kaiser. So an interleague matchup between Division 1 and Division 2 teams. As you guys already know, we like to share the love with teams and schools that may not always be on television. There are this weekend, the TV games are Kapolei Waianae, that Kahuku St. Louis, Barrington, Kapa'a, and Kamehameha Kapalama against Lelehua. You can watch that on Spectrum OC 16. And the weekend of the UH versus Delaware State game, that Friday, we will have Paul and Michael actually bringing you a doubleheader that Michael volunteered Paul for to do in that. Luckily, right up the road here, that's where I'm going to drop you kids off at school. So when Paul was like, what does this, I don't think we even told him what that text message meant, but that's what that text message meant, where Michael said that I'm going to drop you guys off because it's right up the road. Doubleheader. First game would be between Pac-5 and McKinley, and Rancho versus Farrington at 4 and 7. But again, if you guys want to see our broadcast schedule that we have so far, up until the second weekend, of September, because that's as far of the TV schedule we got. We kind of try to work around the TV schedule, so we bring as much coverage as possible to all of these kids and the schools. So hawaiisportsradio.com, your source for the full schedule of high school. And we also have the Big Island schedule up there as well. And check out the Hawaii Sports tab, not only for our broadcast schedule, but also if you guys missed any games, we put those up as a podcast as well. So you guys can listen to a bunch of games from last season, which has been kind of the hit. I mean, you guys asked for it, and a lot of people love listening to these games. So I'm so excited that we're able to give this and provide for all of the student athletes and, of course, their families, because I think if any of my games were available as a podcast, my dad would probably be like listening to those all the time, including like the one game that I played basketball and scored 13 points against Pearl City. Ayo.
Hey, let's go.
Hey.
I mean, I told you, I still listen to my high school broadcast, like the ones that when I was playing that were going on in my area, I downloaded them onto my computer. It's a lifetime memory for some people. It's not a lifetime memory for me, guys, I promise, but it is. It is a fun time to listen to some of the calls, especially when you're a smaller school. I've said it before. I went to a school that graduated 63 kids, public school that graduated 63 kids. It's fun when you get those opportunities to be on the radio and you get to hold on to it.
Whew, we are just about done, you guys. Can you believe this?
I can't believe it.
Take our last break, and we'll be back to close out the first time of our now newly regular second hour of Wake Up in the Den. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro closing out the first of our 2-hour shows. Obviously, in the past, we've done special 2 hours, and we did 3 hours when we were broadcasting in Las Vegas along with Kyle Galdera. But now this will be a regular thing, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. We were so excited, and clearly it was so difficult for us to fill 2 hours of talk now that there's stuff going on. And this is without the NFL and college football starting, and then comes around like the NBA season and college basketball that, like Paul and I cannot shut up about when college basketball comes around. So much to talk about. But as in our first hour, we did discuss a lot of Olympics talk. This hour, we talked a lot of UH football and high school football. So you can listen or watch on demand. Listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get your podcast, or watch on our YouTube channel, along with a lot of other videos that you guys can check out. Coming up this week, actually, we will get into not only more high school football, as Michael mentioned, that we'll have some audio from some of these new and veteran head coaches across the different OIA schools, but also talk some Rainbow Wahine volleyball as they are set to start their two-a-days. Two-a-days on Thursday. So football has already started. Soccer has just begun as well. And then UH women's volleyball begins. So this week, Wednesday, we will hear from Kate Lang finishing up her final season, and Taylor Ikenaga as well. So we're excited to have them on the show and talk some Rainbow Wahine volleyball. Going over back to the Olympics with surfing. Thank you, Michael, again but he's following this a lot closer than me. Shout out, Michael. But
Michael went semi-viral for a swimming or for a surfing tweet I saw while I was gone.
Did you get in trouble yet?
No, I don't think so.
He didn't get DMCA'd.
Yeah. Didn't get in trouble. It's okay.
Copyright strike from the Olympics.
But the semifinals for the women, featuring two women with Hawaii ties, Tatiana Weston Webb, who is surfing for Brazil, and Brisa Hennessy surfing for Costa Rica. They are going to battle it out in Heat 2 today at 12:18 p.m. And before then, you have USA versus France in Caroline Marks and Joanne Defay at 11:42 a.m. And the finals will also, barring any other weather delays, the finals will also take place today, or the gold and bronze medal heats. So gold medal will be at 2:57 for the women, and bronze medal will be at 1:35 p.m. today for the bronze medal. And on the men's side, you have the semifinals. And oh man, some of these names are new. So Alonso Correa and for Peru, and Kali Vost of France are in one semifinal at 10:30 a.m. And then in the other semifinal, you have Gabriel Medina of Brazil, who, by the way, if he wins the gold, I mean, it'll be the greatest Olympics, because if you guys have seen that viral photo, it was of him when he was elevated over the wave with his board and holding up the number one. I think it was in the opening.
That would go so hard.
The opening round. And all I could think about was, man, that would have been even more crazy if that was for the gold medal. It wasn't, but he's still in it. So if Gabriel Medina for Brazil can win, that photo will be even more significant. But he does have a tall task going against Jack Robinson against Australia, the surfer that knocked out Hawaii's John Florence. So that will be an interesting heat. That will be semifinals at 11:06, and then the other men's semifinal is at 10:30, and their gold medal match. It's written as match, but that sounds weird to say for surfing. 2:16 p.m. for the men for the gold medal, and 12:54 p.m. For the bronze medal. Woo!
And we thought we wouldn't fill the 2 hours.
3-hour show?
3 hour
I did not think we wouldn't fill the 2 hours.
Me
not
either.
for a second.
That's why complete and total lie.
That's why we waited up until the beginning of August, when you're back and Michael's just getting all he got his system going to all the different events. So it's going to be exciting, and yeah, I'm excited for you guys to take a ride with us.
Man. Plus the YouTube, man. What a fun day it was.
Yes, so Monday's on YouTube. All right, Michael, wave to the camera. Paul, wave to the camera, because for now we got to go. So for Paul, Michael, I'm Ku'ulei. Mahalo for listening. Bye.
Your brand new home for OIA Athletics. KGU AM. K236CR. Honolulu is the Hawaii